So a very good afternoon to everyone. Today, we are going to touch on the topic that can be as broad as life itself, or sometimes it can be as simple as a single behavior. So goal setting is something that people do on a day-to-day basis. And sometimes if you really go, depending on how you define goal setting, it can be every single thought that you have, right? So oftentimes when we talk about goal setting, we think about corporates, we think about strategic meetings, we think about KPIs and so on, right? But if you really think about it, right, goal setting can be as simple as just wanting to do something. So I want you to just give yourself a moment to think about what goals mean to you and how do you define goal in your life. I myself have spent a bit of time reflecting on this term, goal, because if you really think about it, right, this is a term that we understand quite clearly. We know what goal setting is. We know what a goal is, generally speaking. But how do we explain it to other people? So because in my early stage of my career, I already talked about goal setting, obviously, right? But when someone asks me how to define goal, what is a goal? I often notice that I have to give a whole long description telling people, goal is something that you want to do, your desire, your stuff like that. So, and when I ask around my colleagues, how would you actually simplify the definition of goal to other people? Oftentimes, I notice that a lot of people can't do it. They will give long description, and generally speaking, it comes down to something like the things that you want. But is it really true that the things that you want are all goals? I don't think so, because sometimes the things that you want may not actually be a goal, right? You want it, but you know that you shouldn't do it, and you don't really want it. So some people will say, oh, goal is something that you really want. So let's just think about this for a moment. What does the term goal mean to you? Okay, now as you are thinking, I will run you through some of my own reflection on the term. So when I think of goal, I start to think about in what situations I would use the word. So when there is something that I want to achieve, I would say I set a goal. So let's say if I am driving and I want to reach a certain place, the place that I want to go to would be obviously considered a goal, isn't it? So let's say if I am driving, right? I'm driving on the street, but I don't have a particular place that I want to be. I'm just really wandering around. Then I ask myself, this would be considered all right without a destination, right? I'm driving without a destination. Can I really say that I'm on a journey to somewhere? Answer is no, right? So I'm just driving, but there's no way I really want to go. So I'm not on a journey. I'm simply doing something. I'm simply driving. But as soon as I set a goal, let's say I'm wandering around in KL area, suddenly I got a phone call from my friend asking me to join them at Mid Valley, let's say. So maybe I'm at Wangsa Maju or whatsoever. I got the phone call. Now I've decided to head to Mid Valley. So as soon as I set my GPS, I now have a destination. I can finally say that now I'm on a journey to somewhere. Then with this analogy, with this kind of reflection and thinking, I start to have a better sense of what goals mean to me. So I personally define a goal as the beginning and the end of a journey. No matter what you do, if you don't set a goal, the journey has never begun in the first place, right? You can be in your career working very hard 24/7. But if you don't have a goal, you don't have a place where you want to be, you are just doing, you are just working, right? You can be taking care of your family very hard on a daily basis. You cook for them, you prepare stuff for them, and basically live day to day. But in your mind, if you don't have a goal, a place where you want to be at the end of this journey, you are really just doing. I'm not saying that just doing is wrong. Sometimes just being is okay. But if you have somewhere you want to go, but you haven't set a goal, you will feel lost, right? Now, why do I also say that a goal is also the end of a journey? Because using the same analogy, say, I want to reach Mid-Valley. How do I know when my journey has come to an end? When I've reached Mid-Valley, right? So the point when I have set the GPS to Mid-Valley is the beginning of my journey. And when I eventually reach Mid-Valley, that's the end. So you can only start and end a journey when you have set a goal, right? Because if there's no goal, you wouldn't even know even when you have achieved a place, right? Some people say, I want to be rich. I want to have a successful career. Okay, fantastic. But what does it mean by having a successful career? If that hasn't been set, right? Even if you're not already enjoying what most people would consider as successful in a career, you probably won't experience it. Okay, so my simplified definition, and it sounds a bit philosophical, right? For a goal is the beginning and the end of a journey. Now, and another thing important to note about a goal is that it serves a function of helping you determine whether you're on the right track. It's just like GPS, right? When you set the GPS, of course, the GPS would hopefully show you the route that is the most straightforward and the smoothest to your destination. But sometimes you may take a wrong turn, sometimes certain roads may be blocked or so on. Your GPS will reroute you. Having a goal will serve the same purpose. Sometimes you do have something you have in mind, but life happens. Sometimes the journey may not be that smooth. You may need to do a bit of detour, but as long as you have already set the goal correctly, you will reroute and you will eventually reach the point. Okay, now, so to begin with, my definition of goal is the beginning and the end of a journey. Without it, you are not even on a journey. Okay, and having a goal helps you determine whether you're on the right track. Now, because goal is such an important thing, the way you express goals would actually determine whether you are likely to get it or not. So let's say, right, let's give a few more examples of goals. You can set like a 1 year goal, your New Year resolution, for example, this year, these are the things I want to achieve. Or in life, these are the things I want to achieve. By the time I retire, I want to have these and that. These are goals. But if, let's say, I want to go to the toilet, right? I need to run to the bathroom. I need to eat something. These are also thoughts. These thoughts are also motivators for you to do things. Are these considered goals? They are. Okay, they are goals. But you can see that a life goal, a retirement goal, and the intention of eating, right? Setting a goal to go to the toilet. These are goals of very different scale. And there is a difference between what you want to do and what you want to achieve. So if I want to eat, actually, what do I want to achieve? I want to achieve fullness. I want to achieve satisfaction. I do it by eating. If I say I want to have this amount of money by the time I retire, there's where I want to reach. But what do I need to do to achieve that? I may need to work hard. I may need to invest. I may need to save, right? So there is a difference between what you want to achieve and what you need to do. So these thoughts, these kind of statements can sometimes be confusing. Some people would state what they want to do as their goal. Like, my goal is to eat. Your goal is probably not to eat. Your goal is probably to survive. Okay. I need to go to the bathroom. Your goal is probably not, your goal is not to go to the bathroom. Your goal is to relieve the discomfort that comes with, bowel movement. Okay. So I hope you understand the difference between it. Now, so when we express goals, it is very important for us to know the technique on how to say it right. So the first principle, the first tip that I can give you is say what you want, not what you don't want. Let's say, right? Some people, when they think about goals, they generally apply it to career-related stuff. financial related stuff, my financial goal, my self goal, my life goal, right? But now I'm telling you that even very small things in your life, they are actually goal oriented as well. Okay. So let's say a person is working a day job 9 to 5, right? And then the person say, I don't want this kind of job anymore. I don't want a 9 to 5 kind of job. So what do you want, right? So if 9 to 5 is not okay, what about 5 p.m. to 3 a.m.? Are you more happy with that? Okay, obviously not. So if you always tell people that I don't want this, I don't want that, you are actually not getting any closer to your goal. Just imagine ordering food at a restaurant. If you go to KFC, you tell the person attending to you saying that I don't want spicy and I don't want original. I don't want thigh, I don't want breast. Give me what I want. What do you think the person will do? The person will look at you. Even if the person is not pissed by you, is not annoyed by you, even if the person really wants to help you, the person wouldn't know what to give you, right? As compared to, I want thigh, I want ribs, right? It's so much easier to give. So imagine this. Stating your goal is like giving an order. Okay, it's like ordering food. It's like asking for something. Stating a goal is like ordering a gift from your future self. If you set a goal to lose weight, for example, basically, if you think about it in another way, you are asking your future self to give this to you. I hope that in my near future, maybe in a few months' time, I am 5 kg lighter, right? If you are setting a retirement goal, I'm hoping that in the future, I own this amount of money, right? At the age of 60, I own this amount of money. So when you state a goal, you are placing an order for your future self. Okay, so just remember the principle of placing order. You want to say what you want and you want to be specific. So if it's a simple order of chicken at KFC, you already have a menu, right? The whatever bucket value meal or the burger, everything is there. You just need to name whatever you want and the person will know what to send. But in life, things are much more ambiguous and life is so much more open-ended. So, and sometimes you can't even know what is there for you in the future. So for example, now YouTuber is a highly revered career. Say this to someone 20 years ago, YouTuber won't even exist, this as a career, you see? So in the future, we really don't know what will happen. We don't know what the future holds for us. So there's no way, no very strict way that I can give you a checklist or a menu on the things that you can order for your future, right? But the way you think about goals, the way you set goals and you order from your future self can be improved by following several principles. And these principles, you have probably heard of it somewhere if you have attended any of these corporate training programs and so on, because again, most people think of goal setting as a very career and corporate oriented thing. But if you really think about it, goal setting happens at any second. Whenever you have a thought of wanting something, you are actually already setting some form of goal that you want. It's either you set it right, which affects whether you get it or not, right? I want to lose weight, right? I want to get a girlfriend. I want to make more money. All these desires, they can actually be translated into goals. But if you don't state it correctly, they just remain desires and wishes. So what I'm about to share today is how we can turn all these wishes and desires into goals that can be achieved by following these few principles. So we call it SMART goal setting: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Now, I will give some guidelines on how you can set SMART goals. And after we've done this, you can ask some questions and also discuss with me some of the things that you want to achieve and how can we turn it into a SMART goal, right? So I will just go very general for now. A specific goal is something that when you state, is something that preferably you can state in one single sentence. If someone asks you what you want and you need to write a whole essay to describe what you want, that's not specific. Okay, if possible, whatever you want, you think about it, you reflect on it, and you refine it into one simple sentence, right? Now, The second thing is that this simple sentence, when you say it to others, even people meeting you for the first time can understand. If your goal statement is something like that, then your goal statement is specific enough. And thirdly, if this sentence that you say creates very different images in different people's mind, then your goal is not specific. So for example, when I use the word healthy, I want to be healthy. What do you have in mind, right? For some people, healthy means having six packs. For some people, healthy means being happy, being emotionally healthy. For some people, healthy means not too thin, not too fat, not necessarily six packs. So if you notice, right, the word healthy can elicit a lot of images in a lot of people's mind. So a single term like that is never specific enough. But let's say I tell you that my goal is to run a full 42 km marathon without difficulty. Is that specific? That is specific. So when I say this to other people, people can understand, oh, so as long as you are able to complete the full marathon and after that you don't die, then you actually consider yourself healthy. I say yes. Okay. So operationalize your goal. Whatever you want, think of something more specific, state it in one sentence, and when other people listen to it, they can get it, right? That's the first rule. Second rule, measurable. You want to state your goals in a way that can be quantified. So that you can know exactly when you have achieved it. The goal that I mentioned just now, able to run a full 42-kilometer marathon, is something measurable, isn't it? Because I can count myself on whether I can complete the 42 kilometers. And usually because the requirement is that you are able to quantify it, your goals should be converted into something that includes number, conditions, and behaviors. So for example, you can convert I want to be healthy into something like my goal is to spend 1 hour exercising at the gym per day, right? And then it becomes a behavior, it becomes a condition, it becomes a number that you can measure. So again, like I mentioned, right? When it comes to goal, there is something that you want to achieve, but there are behaviors that you want to do. So setting behavior goals means that you set things that you do. Okay. Now, third, achievable. Things that you want doesn't mean that you can always get it. So when you want something, ask yourself, can this actually be done? And how would you know whether something can be done? The first thing that you can check is whether someone has done it before. If you are thinking about something, oh, I want to do, for example, I want to do space exploration. Okay, I want to move human beings to Mars. That's our Elon Musk goal, kan? Okay, so is that achievable? Have you seen anyone done it so far? Not yet. Okay, we haven't seen anyone. But does it mean that it's not achievable? Not necessary. So the main thing is, if someone has done it, you know the goal is achievable. But even if no one has done it before, it can still be possible. But the main thing is whether you are able to generate an action plan. So no one has actually moved to Mars before. But for someone like Elon Musk, he can think about what are the ways, what are the steps I can take to eventually make that happen. So if you want to achieve something, but in your mind, you're not able to draw the path out, basically, it's not achievable to you. So for me, if I want to help people to move to Mars, I can't, because I cannot even imagine how that can happen. But in Elon Musk's mind, he can. So this goal is possible to him. Imagine like for someone who is financially very, very difficult. For this person, he may have no way of earning more money. So you ask him, is there any way? No way, no way. But for someone who, oh, I'm sorry about that. So I actually am working from home today and I have my pet and my baby. And so sometimes you may hear noises, but I will try to keep them quiet as much as possible. So where was I? Okay. Now, for someone who has less financial knowledge and financial resources, earning more money may be difficult. But someone with more resources, connection, and maybe network and education, for them, they will say that, okay, it's possible for me to make more money. So sometimes things that are not achievable to you may be achievable to others. Similarly, something that you can achieve, other people may not be able to achieve. The main goal now is, are you able to generate an action plan? If you have no concept at all on how to make that happen, you can either learn or you can just accept that this is really not your goal to achieve. I believe that my life purpose is not to send people to Mars. Someone else is on it already. I have other goals in my life, and those are the things that I can do, and maybe Elon Musk cannot do. Okay, so you have to know yourself well in order for you to set good goals. I hope that makes sense. Now, next, yeah, if you can't formulate an action plan, that goal is not achievable to you. Then next step, even if you can now formulate a possible plan, a plan that can seem to work, you have to ask yourself whether it is realistic. Is it reasonable for you to do so? Because in what are the costs involved in achieving that? Because the fact that you can do something doesn't mean that you should do something. So some people will get confused, but if it can be achieved, why should I still think about this? I like to give this example when I talk about being realistic about your goals, right? Now, I'm not sure whether you can hear my baby crying, right? Let's talk about kids then. Do you think it is possible to make a kid sit down quietly for 24/7 a day, not making a single noise? Is it possible to make my dog not bark at all? Okay, just think about this. Do you think it is possible to do so? Some of you may say yes, some of you may say no. Now, let me tell you, the answer is yes, it is possible. If I drop my dog, if I drop my baby, if I keep them quiet, I tie them down the whole day, they'll be quiet, right? It can be done. But is it reasonable to do so? Is it right to do so? No, because babies will cry, dogs will bark, right? Certain things should happen a certain way. The fact that I can do it doesn't mean that I should do it. So when you set a goal, other than setting an achievable goal, you also have to think about whether the goal is realistic enough to achieve. Okay, now next, once you have all that figured out, you have set a very specific goal, something that is measurable and achievable, and you know it's reasonable to do so. Now you need to set a time. You have to tell yourself, when do you want to do it? When do you expect it to be done? Because putting a time to your goal is the step of actually setting your GPS. So let's say you want to travel to a place in your mind, you say you want to go to Mid Valley and so on. You can think about all of it in your mind, okay? But if you haven't set your GPS, if you haven't started your engine, that is still just wishful thinking. A lot of people have good ideas and their ideas can actually work. But because they don't set a time frame to their ideas, the goal never came to realize. So setting the GPS, setting time is actually the final step. It's only when you set a time, I want to get this done by this, then only you are starting your journey. Okay. Plan plus time equals goal. Plan without time is just a plan. Okay, so these are the two components that are necessary for a goal to be considered a goal. So now, I mentioned just now that we have many types of goals. Sometimes goal can be as big as life itself. Sometimes goal can be just even a thought of wanting to do something that can be a goal. So here I want to further elaborate on that. Long-term goals basically refers to things that you cannot achieve now, even if you want to, right? For Elon Musk, he wants to send all of us to Mars. Okay, he wants to do it, but he cannot do it now. So that is a long-term goal. Let's say I want to retire. Okay, I really want to retire, but I can't do it now because I still have a baby who's making noise now, right? So setting a retirement goal is then a long-term goal to me because I can't do it now, even if I want to. And it is maybe because I'm limited by my resources, capabilities, and opportunities. So for example, I want to start a business, okay? I can't start it now because I don't have the model, I don't have the ability, I don't have the knowledge. Then I would set my starting a business as a long-term goal. Okay, and the time frame here is arbitrary. Sometimes long-term goal, people say it's a year. Sometimes it's about 6 months. For some people, to them, 1 month is already a very long run, right? It really depends on what kind of lifestyle you live and what kind of career you are in. So for some career, you plan for a year, right? For some, you plan for every week. For some, you plan for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. So this 6-month criteria is just arbitrary, but you need to understand that long-term goal means you cannot achieve it right now. Now, this is not the same as something that you can actually do, but you're not doing it for other reasons. So for example, if I really already have the money, I have the knowledge, I have the experience to start a business, and I want to start a business, but I don't dare to start a business because maybe I have no experience being a boss myself. That shouldn't be a long-term goal. Okay, that should be a short-term goal which we talk about, because the main barrier is only my level of confidence. I already have the resources to do so. Okay, so long-term goals you cannot achieve even if you want to. Short-term goals are things that you can already do now. And then the definition of short-term goal is that you start doing things that you can do now, and eventually it will lead you to your long-term goal. So let's say if I want to lose 5 kg, I cannot just lose it by today or tomorrow. But what I can do is to exercise 1 hour per day and eat less on a daily basis. And maybe in 2 months' time, I will lose that 5 kg. So my short-term goal would be things that I can start doing right now. Okay, and it is within my current resources and capabilities to achieve, and it can usually be measured on a daily to weekly basis. So the general idea is we want to set a long-term goal where we want to be at in a future distant, maybe 6 months, maybe a year. And then we devise short-term goals that we do on a daily or weekly basis, and we just keep to the plan. We just follow our short-term goal, and eventually we will reach our long-term goal. Okay, so that is a very brief sharing on the concept of goal and how we place the correct order to our future self.